Welcome to Session 0.
Hi, everybody. This is the first episode of our D&D podcast where we don't actually play the game, we just talk about it. We're an uncle-niece duo. We've been playing for about 5-ish years. Does that sound right?
Yeah, about.
My name is Hannah.
I'm Ethan.
Since this is the first episode, I thought we should talk about the types of characters we like to play or the create, since you don't really
play him a lot.
Yeah. He's the DM in our D&D games we play. And I should go first since I've probably played a lot more characters before.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I usually play spellcasters, really. Like rangers, druids, bards. It's just, I like spells. I'm enticed by spells.
Yeah.
I play female characters most often because that's what I identify as, and it's what I'm comfortable playing. I'm trying to think. They're pretty naive. I've had a couple that are a little bit stronger mentally, but mechanically they're pretty smart, stats wise, just because
they know what they're talking about.
Yeah, they know what they're talking about. It's just I play high intelligence, low wisdom characters a lot, which is pretty funny to me because I feel like I'm kind of, me in real life, I think I'm pretty even with the intelligence and wisdom, or at least I try to act that way.
Give or take.
Yeah, a couple of points in either direction of the day. Yeah, they're pretty young also. They've usually been late teens, early adulthood, just because it's easier to play that instead of a grizzled druid who's been through some stuff. It's easier to play I just got spells and I'm gonna go adventure now.
That's pretty. To be honest, to give you credit, I think that's how everyone else plays too.
Yeah, there are a couple of people who jump in. They're playing
grizzled old men.
Yeah.
At level 1.
Yeah, which I think is so funny to me.
Yeah,
it's that's the best mechanic in a game, is just this troubled past, but they start at level 1.
Yeah,
so funny to me. But I feel like if we were playing in an actual group setting, I would get the opportunity to branch out a little bit, because when we play, it's usually just the two of us.
Two of us or smaller. Round family.
So I can't really play to the top of what I want to play, really, sometimes. But I enjoy my characters. I love them all.
Yeah, you have some pretty good ones.
Yeah, I've had 5 characters that I can remember that I'm in love with.
So spellcasters and smart wise, not so wise.
Book smart, I would say.
Book smart.
That's pretty smart.
Yeah. What makes you focus more on spellcasting and not the more martial?
Martial to me is a little bit boring, really. Some people play it really well, and good on them, but for me it's just I go up, I'm gonna attack him, I'm gonna action surge, I'm gonna attack him again, I'm gonna get hit a couple of times. And mechanically, martial classes, usually, depending on what you put your stats in, they're usually a lot harder than spellcasters at low levels. But I feel like you go down pretty quick.
Yeah.
Especially since we usually just play, like we said, the two of us. If I'm a fighter, I don't really have heals.
Yeah, true.
And I'm the one person they're attacking all the time. It's pretty much I'm going to play spellcasters because they have heals, and I want to keep this game going for as long as possible.
True.
So that's pretty much it for me with the types of characters I like to play. So what about you, Ethan? What kind of characters do you like to create or play as NPCs in our games?
I'm more of the silent, standoffish loner type, so that's the type I gravitate towards. On the fence, whether it's martial or spellcaster, I probably lean more martial.
Mm-hmm.
When I first got into D&D, I was really into the monk because I do martial arts, and that always always like the idea of going up against a dragon hand to hand, roundhousing it in the face and winning. But yeah, usually more martial.
Well, because you don't really get to play that often, do you create characters based on the campaigns you're running? You're like, I would love to see this character in this setting.
Definitely. Sometimes I just make worlds based off of characters. I like more grounded worlds. I don't like too high of fantasy, but that's fun too. It just depends on the character.
Yeah,
But
it depends on the type of game you want to run too.
I like gritty stuff.
Yeah, I like to describe your characters and just you in general as like Batman. Like strong, silent, like justice prevails.
Yeah. In the darkness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a dark character who wants to do good.
Yeah. A Black Knight. That's basically me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for me. More martial.
Yeah. Here's a question for both of us to answer, and you can answer first.
Okay.
What kind of character do you not really play that often that you want to? Like, what's a class or something you don't really think about playing, but you feel like you would do at least a kind of okay job at it?
A couple stand out. One, the more book smart wizard sage type of character.
Yeah.
I'm plenty smart, but I'm not that smart type of thing. The more weaker spellcaster, stand in the back slinging spells at creatures. And the other one is the charismatic bard, making up songs and jokes on the spot and stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of get me out of my shell.
Yeah,
That'd be hard for me.
Yeah, I agree with you on the wizard. It's just, it's never really clicked anything for me, even though it's a spellcaster. But it's just, I'm not that interested because you have to like, I don't know. It's very much like I don't want to necessarily play like a super smart character because when it's just me, if I'm playing a super smart character, I don't get to make like bad decisions that move the narrative forward, at least not in a, like a metagaming way. A barbarian, I feel like I would do okay at, but it's just not, I'm not interested in it.
Yeah.
Like some people play D&D because they're like, I want to kill things, whatever, and I'm just like, I just want to cast spells and go on an adventure.
Yeah. And just be there.
I just want to be there.
Would you ever play a martial class?
Yeah, I've played a couple.
Yeah.
I played one barbarian, even though I just mentioned that I don't really like, it doesn't really stand out to me. But I played it once because there was a friend from school was playing with us, and I was finally not the only player, so I didn't have to play smart. And so I became a very bad person in that group, just like going off, not paying attention, just, I mean, it was neutral. It was fun, but I probably did not make that game enjoyable for my friend. And I've played a paladin before, which is, I think, it's a mix of spellcasting and martial, and it's my favorite character to date. Martial characters are fun. It's just, they're just not my first choice. In a certain way. Yeah, I have to work it in a certain way, and I have to really think about character. Because with spells, a lot of the things we do, a lot of the games we play, is magic is illegal. Yeah, is a very big theme in almost all of the mysterious and dangerous. Yeah, it's like mysterious and dangerous in almost every single game we play. And in those, I feel like it's more fun to play as a spellcaster, but I have to hide spellcasting, and just being a spellcaster gives that a certain level of backstory and makes the campaign interesting, and you have to solve this, and you have to not get caught or you'll be killed. I like you said, low fantasy worlds. I feel like in low fantasy worlds, fighters and martial classes are just the norm. Yeah. It's fun to be the outsiders. I like attention. So. But hiding attention. Yeah. Would you ever play a spellcaster? Like a legit, like wizard, sorcerer spellcaster? Yeah. It'd probably be with a bigger group, so I can blend in. But yeah,
I would. Like you said, I would have to really think about the character, not necessarily the class, which is a good tip for anybody, I guess.
Yeah, I was just watching I was listening to a podcast about people talking about how they make their characters, like how we're talking about. A lot of the people were saying there wasn't necessarily a class they wouldn't play, but it would just
Yeah.
have to fit the character they had in mind.
Yeah, true.
Which I don't really create my characters that way. I kind of create them class first based on what I'm feeling like playing
Yeah.
and the world we're in. And
Yeah. And I think that's a very player-centric way of doing it. As a DM, I think of the character first and try to fix what class they would be from that.
yeah.
So I think
Well, I
that's
mean,
two
and
different ways of doing it.
yeah, both are fine. We've
Oh,
both
yeah.
created pretty like badass characters to play with.
Yeah, true.
And it's like very much like a puzzle piece, but instead of finding pieces and putting them together, you're like creating a puzzle from the pieces you have. It's very much like I want to be a spellcaster, so I'm going to look at these spellcasters. Well, my background is this, so it would make sense if I was a druid.
Yeah.
Or my background is this, so it would make sense if I was a bard. It's
Building
very
off
much,
of that.
yeah, it's like the name is the last thing to come to me. The first thing to come to me is, I want to be a spellcaster. It's like writing an essay. You have the vague idea,
Mm-hmm.
you like kind of go in and you're like, okay, well, this is what the first paragraph is going to be. This is what the second, third, and then you write the actual sentences for it.
Yeah.
Is how I like go in creating character.
Yeah. So I'm a little bit of the opposite. I go, who are they first, and then build out from there. You go outward and in, I go inward and out.
Yeah.
But they all do the same thing, so there's
Yeah.
no one way to do it.
Yeah. Which, I mean, is very representative of the Dungeons and Dragons itself. Is
Yeah.
we could have the same character, exactly the same, but play it completely different ways.
Mm-hmm.
The way you would play like a human druid is different than how I would play a human druid. Like, we've both played human druids before. They're different. Like, their personalities are completely different.
Yeah.
Just based on what we like to play and how we like to play.
Yeah. It's interesting.
D&D is very interesting. There's a reason why the sessions are like 3.5 hours long on average.
Yeah. And that's just figuring out the commerce of this city.
Yeah, it's like, what is their feudal system like?
Yeah. What's the weather today? Tell me about that.
Yeah, is it raining? Is it foggy?
Yes.
Well, I mean, and that kind of detail goes into character creation too. It's like, they have brown hair, but there are a couple of strands of their hair that are a little bit lighter brown.
Yeah. That's what I like about it. You can engage your imagination. And then you instantly know the character based off those little things.
Yeah, what we also do whenever we play is we make our character, and then we like to play it like it's a TV show or like a Netflix series, just because like that's the media we're partaking in most of the time. We do like camera sweeps, and we like cast our characters as people.
Yeah.
Even though they're almost never going to be a show, but we were like, okay, what would the actors playing these characters be if it was a show?
Yeah.
Like, what would the camera directions be? Which is pretty helpful since I'm taking a film class right now.
Yeah. And my career choice is dependent on that.
Yeah, well, we are also both very right-brained, so D&D is a little bit easier for us too, because
the hardest part is the math behind it.
Yeah.
For me. But it's fun.
Here's another question.
Okay.
What is the kind of character that you would never play?
Oh no. I don't know how bad this sounds, but I don't think there's any type of character that I wouldn't. I don't enjoy evil. I mean, for like a one-shot thing, I would do evil just for the cathartic release of it. But for long term, I wouldn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say there's not one thing that I wouldn't do. If I have an idea and an inspiration for a character, I'll do it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't think there's a character I wouldn't play. I wouldn't mind playing an evil character long term. They would just have to like slowly see the error and start to become like good and
Yeah.
like just they're seeing the bad in the world through a different lens once they start like adventuring, and they're like, I don't
Redemption
know.
arc.
Yeah, it's a redemption arc. I don't really like playing clerics either most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on what your domain is and what the subclass is. But most of the time, clerics are just... Some people play them really, really well.
Yeah.
But it's just like everything. I don't see myself playing as a cleric.
Mm-hmm.
But if we were in a bigger group and they needed a cleric, I would probably make one.
Yeah. But then again, it has to be a character choice. And you have to think about character and why they believe that way.
I'd probably almost immediately multi-class into something else.
Probably.
Oh, that's another interesting question. Have you ever multi-classed?
Oh, dozens of times to unbelievable level. I have like a homebrew rule that extends the level cap that you can go beyond 20 if you multi-class. Kind of breaks the game, but I think it's fun because why not? None of the players or myself have done it yet. We haven't made it that far. I either killed y'all or we had just stopped playing over whatever reason.
I think the first game I played, I was a ranger druid or something along those lines.
Yeah. And I made a character to be like a companion to yours that was like a monk cleric or a paladin cleric or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first game we ran was multi-class.
Yeah.
Multi-class is fun, especially if you have an idea for a character that's more than one thing.
Yeah.
Yes, I'd go for it.
Yeah, that was the only time I multi-classed. But we also, when we first started playing, we didn't use spell slots really.
Oh no.
Because we were both like, well, spell slots are kind of dumb. Like, why would there be like a limited amount of magic I could use?
And I quickly found out why there's a limited amount of magic that you would use.
Well, the first couple of times it didn't really matter because we didn't really play long enough where it would be a problem.
Yeah, that's true.
And then my paladin, we didn't use spell slots, and I was like divine smiting every attack that I made.
You were stacking up kills that would cripple like an ancient dragon, and I was like, no, wait a minute, that's not... You're only level 10. Let's draw back a little bit.
High-level paladins are really powerful.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And then I got killed by a beholder, so that was fun.
Yep. I finally understood the rules, so I could kill you. You're welcome.
Well, we kind of talked about this, but we could expand on it. What is like the one stereotype that you bring to your characters, like over and over again?
Probably the quiet, grizzled guy, like the stereotypical lone wolf type of thing. I try not to go lone all the time, because like we're supposed to be a group, and so I understand that. But yeah, I'm the one that stands in the corner and sulks, and then does what everybody else does.
I think for me, I really play charismatic characters all the time.
Yeah, true. Even when you have a low charisma.
Yeah, I always have like one of the low charismas, huh? Because it's very much like I go into characters being like, okay, she's gonna be awkward, but then I'm always like, because it's just me, I have to make all the charisma checks, and I have to get crap done.
That's true. But we are branching out. We got a few more people joining in. So
yeah, we're playing a campaign right now with my little brother, and that's fun. I'll probably die on Halloween, everybody.
What a way to go.
Another question based on that. What are the circumstances you've had with characters where like, I don't care if they die or not?
Well, it's kind of tricky with me because all my characters died. Because you killed them in some way.
Well, no, but like NPCs that are like companions.
Actually, haven't had any so far. Some that I designed to be kind of like self-sacrificing, and if it happened that way, it was good. They served their purpose. Whatever happens, happens. I'm kind of go with the flow type of story. Yeah, I'm good with a character dying if it serves a purpose, basically.
There have been many times where I've gone down to 0, and you're like, okay, well, you're the only player, so we're gonna plot armor and just. I think for me, I'm usually very attached.
Yeah.
But the sorcerer, first time I'm playing a sorcerer, we're playing an Evo campaign for Halloween. And I do not care if she dies or not.
Yeah.
It's very much like I'm just gonna play this powerful, badass sorcerer.
And she'll probably never die.
She's like evil. And then, but I don't care if she dies or not, because it's not like we're playing a long, ongoing thing.
Story. Yeah.
Like on Halloween is probably when the last session is gonna be.
Yeah. And she
Depending
ends up
on
being the only one to survive out of all your characters.
I know.
That'd
I'm
be
gonna
hilarious.
feel so bad.
But hey, that's a character for me to take.
Oh my god, no. Do not usurp my characters to use against me.
And you did all the work.
Yeah, it's my first time playing a monster race too.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
tags are monster race, aren't they?
they're monsters. Yeah, it's an evil campaign for Halloween, like we said, and we're playing monsters. Like I'm playing a half hag, which is an interesting race. I did not know existed, but I'm playing it. Yeah. And my brother, who's the other player in the campaign with us, is a illithid.
Yep. Mind flare. Brain sucker.
Yeah. It's really fun. I enjoy it. It was very fun to just not feel bad about killing people. The battle was over and I killed someone just because she was starting to not do what I wanted her to do. I was like, okay, well, she's dead.
So harsh.
Yeah. Yeah, I've usually played like more of the human races, so it's pretty fun.
Yeah, human and I think half elf and elf.
Yeah, like humanoid races that are very... The furthest thing I played away from a humanoid was a gnome. But like that's still a humanoid.
Yeah. Understandable.
Yeah. I don't know why. It's just I'm sure if I could come up with... It's just that I feel comfortable playing them and I haven't reached out of my comfort zone yet, but I could probably do it.
Yeah.
It's just I think it's because the idea of I like to play like younger people.
Yeah.
And with other creatures, they typically live longer. And I'm like, well, I don't want to be like 90 and act like a teenager.
Yeah. When the race lives 700 years.
Yeah. It's also less pressure on me if I play a human that lives to be 80 and it's like, well,
I know how this goes.
Thanks so much for listening, everybody. This is
Thank you.
episode 1. Hopefully there will be more and we'll talk about other things that are interesting and relevant to our D&D games and other D&D related things.
Roll on.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.